right, welcome to another episode of the Liberalish podcast. This is episode 31. I am joined by my lovely co-host. We got the intelligent Marcus over here, not to be confused with Marcus Smart, and we got.
That was a good one,
I
Joe
like
Bud.
it. That was good.
I try, man. I'm working on my intros.
That's a good one, Mr. That's a good one, Mr. Pump It Up.
I only got one hit wonder, so special shout out to Ryan, all the way from Brooklyn, man. Special shout out.
Man.
What was that?
You know the vibe. Stay Brooklyn, but a Knicks fan all day.
You're just not used to seeing the stadium in your hood, man. I get it. It's a weird sight. Man. It's a weird sight.
Come on, man. That's a Jersey team right there. We have the greatest. We got the greatest stadium in the whole world.
Yeah, I mean Barclays Center is pretty nice. I agree.
Nah, Barclays is trap house. come to Madison Square Garden. You see Barclays. Y'all remember watching Great Gatsby? The Barclays is basically where Gatsby lived. Feel that's new money. And the Knicks is old money where Tom and all of them niggas live. Those are real rich niggas. You can't take their wealth away.
And that's why I can't watch the Knicks play in the Garden, because I can't afford it. It's only for old money only.
Yes, sir. I couldn't afford it either. It was $1,500 for a ticket. I bought a Nets ticket, and I was like row 4 or 5 up to watch them. And like I was literally on the step, bro. It was like 110 playoffs. It was $110.
Those are like New Jersey prices from when I was a kid.
Without.
Is that from the Izod Center?
The old Izod Center, yes.
Bro, without the discount, they had a 40% James Harden discount that I figured out that they had like later.
This is not
no fans.
It's not a sports podcast, but Meadowlands is probably the worst area to put like a basketball team. They had to leave. I'm sorry.
Or any sports team, to be honest. Like they put the Giants and the Jets there now. It's still terrible to get there. I don't know what they were thinking.
Oh my gosh. Do you guys actually go there? I always pass the stadium like, do people even get here? Like
same. I ask that question every time I'm in New York. How do people get to that stadium?
It's gotten better. There are trains. They've actually got trains and shuttles now that pick people up from the train station about 20 minutes away, but it's still a nightmare. Compared to some other stadiums I've been to, like compared to Dallas Stadium, like it's an actual nightmare. I don't know why they did this. I don't know what they were thinking.
I think that should probably be like the first thing that like the people who are running for mayor in New York should address. They got to bring the New York football teams back home.
Back to New York.
In the New York
City. Put them in New Rochelle. Like you got to put them on the New Rochelle.
Put them in the city.
Put them in the city. Somewhere. If you have to put the Jets in Staten Island for it to work, do it. Do something.
They can build that ugly ass beehive over in Hudson Yards. Surely they can find some place to put a stadium.
I mean, Queens has enough room, right? So
why can't I put it? We're not putting Queens. I'm not giving anything to Queens. The Queens has the Mets, and already nobody likes them. So no, I'm not gonna do that.
Oh man, all right.
I say that as a Mets fan. Like Queens is a terrible place to have to go to for a baseball game.
I remember when I went to my first baseball game. It was a Mets game. I felt like I spent like the whole day on the train. And I lived in the Bronx, bro. It was just
a hike,
pure
man.
Bad vibes, bro. Pure bad vibes. Never again, bro.
Compared to getting to Yankee Stadium, it's a nightmare, man.
That's fair. I got family that live in Jamaica, and it's a hike from everywhere, so I completely get it. So as you can tell, we all have ties to New York. We all love New York. And speaking of New York just ran its first ranked choice voting primaries, and the results are in. Eric Adams, the Brooklyn Borough President, came in first. This is the Democratic primaries, by the way. He came in first, and Andrew Yang came in fourth in first place votes with 19%. So,
Jersey boy Eric Adams coming through.
Election not over yet, though.
No, this was just the primaries. So
the primaries is the 22nd.
Okay, well then this was just the polling for the primaries. So let's put it like that. Then.
Yes, It's not happening. It's not Eric Adams not winning, bro.
You sound
New York would be wild to elect a cop after all that shit niggas was talking, bro.
That is New York. You're talking about the city that love stopped and frisked for a good while. Yeah. I won't be surprised.
It seems like Maya Wiley has a lot of momentum, though. I've been seeing her name in
I
a
really want Maya Wiley to win.
lot more news articles, a lot more social media buzz about her compared to these other candidates. The only thing with Eric Adams, it's all bad and negative news, and Andrew Yang's completely fallen off, it looks like.
It's a really, really bad look for Andrew Yang to come off a loss for the presidential Democratic primaries and then come off another loss for a much smaller New York City Democratic primaries. So I don't know, man. Maybe people aren't feeling Yang Gang up there.
He also dumbed out. Like you had a much bigger platform running for president. Why would you then say, "Oh, have we still figured out why he wanted to run for mayor of New York?" It seems like a dead end job, really.
It just seems like if you want to kill your political career, run for mayor of New York.
Never. I told my friend I don't care how much money they would give me. I will never be the mayor or ever run for the mayor of New York. It's just a horrible job. Like if you really think about it, De Blasio hasn't been a bad mayor, bro. Like
no, he's just easy to make fun of,
bro. He tried everything possible in his power to be a good mayor, bro, and I'm gonna give him that. But he gets killed for everything. Bro.
Yeah.
Bro, I think his approval rating is probably like a 12% at this point, bro. It's like insane.
We're also talking about the same city that elected Rudy Giuliani. Yes, that same Rudy Giuliani twice.
America's mayor.
America's mayor. Yeah.
Bad luck for America.
I love how people are like, "Oh, but Rudy wasn't that bad back." Yeah, he was.
Pretty bad.
He was just 9/11.
He got in on some campaigning on some racism on using racist imagery or in his campaign. So it just got downhill from there.
Yeah, he beat the first and only black mayor of New York. Hopefully we can change that. But yeah. So, all right. Shout out to the New York City Democrats, man. Hopefully, who are we rooting for again?
Rooting for Maya Wiley.
Maya, let's go, Maya.
We got to tweet out our endorsement for her. So, shout out to her. All right. So, let's talk about some headlines here, then move on to some local politics. And then after that, let's talk a little bit about what's going on in the Hill. All right. So, starting off here. Louisiana, of all places, passed a state law to make Juneteenth a holiday. And I believe on top of that, the U.S. Senate, talk about bipartisanship.
They said unanimously.
All 100, I'm supposedly all 100 voted to recognize Juneteenth as a holiday. So
it's stunning. Senate doesn't agree on anything.
I'll say this, man. When Black people want like a statue or a road, we're going to get that. We will get that symbolic gesture.
We will get those symbolic gesture. But meaningful change? Oh my gosh.
Oh man. No.
Well, now you're asking for too much.
Now you're asking
too much slip on your chip, my brother.
Oh man. Yeah, that Voting Rights Act. Nah, we're not gonna get
that. But hey, we all gonna vote. No problem.
Hey,
for the holiday though, hey, why not throw it on the calendar? Sure.
You might get
Ron Johnson was like, yeah, I'm technically against the bill because I don't believe in giving taxpayers money to give government workers time off, but it's a good cause. I voted yes.
How can you still be racist towards that? Like, that's some dedication right there.
You have to be working hard to come on to support this and come off racist.
A man named Senator Tom Cotton signed the bill, yes, and his name is Tom Cotton, bro.
Yeah, dude, I'm honestly shocked there wasn't like
signing a bill recognizing slavery, all of that. Like,
I'm surprised like Tom Cotton didn't say like, well, if we're gonna do this, we need to recognize like Confederacy Day or something like that, So
that's coming.
That's coming.
I'm sure that's coming. Like, we need to celebrate Nathaniel Bedford Forrest Day or some bullshit. That's going to be next, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Federal holiday for when the Confederate States of America was first founded.
Right. There's going to be something. There's going to be something put down the pipeline.
They're destroying white heritage, man.
Yeah, it's destroying America.
Back the country.
Man. All right. Speaking of racist people, Hunter Biden's texts have leaked, and these included messages where he called his lawyer the N-word.
his white lawyer, he called that man a nigger. Nigga said, "You better not overcharge me, nigga." Yo, 2 white men talking like that is crazy, bro. That's insane.
I would love to know if this is how white people really talk to each other. Like, this is just like an isolated incident, or is this like a normal thing?
No, the way the message leaked, this is like every 2 sentences. You use the word more than me, bro. I utilize the word more, bro. Like, it was like every couple sentence, bro, there was a nigga thrown in, bro.
Jesus Christ, man. Marcus, to answer your question, the answer is yes. The answer is 100% yes.
So this is normal.
Yeah, I learned that lesson when I realized that like white people also like the same music that I listen to, and they also like this uncensored version too. And I was like, they're not censoring themselves when they go back.
Nigga, when that part hit, you say, nigga.
Right. I like one time I was riding with my coworker. I was giving him a ride, and this was like right after college. So we're both like 21, 22. And I forgot the song that came on, but it says the N-word like a lot of times, right? And this white guy starts singing the song, and he doesn't censor himself. And I'm just like, what do I do in this situation? Do I just
go punch him in his face?
Do I just throw him out of the car?
What do I like? Hold on, let me pull over. Let me Google
in this car. How
what
does
do
work?
I do here? Do I have like any amendment rights that I can exercise right here?
Like a citizen's arrest.
Put him in a trap. Nigga put you in a trap, bro.
Oh my God. I was like, what do I do in this situation? He was such a nice guy. And I was like, what do I do?
So turn and say, yo, bro, you wild and don't get slapped next time, man.
Next time, man. Hopefully, well, there wasn't a next time. So maybe like my awkward
this be your first and last time, nigga. Because if you say the word, if you say the word, nigga, I'm gonna be on you like cream cheese on jelly.
Say less, man. All right, so let me ask Paul this question now. So I know like the conservatives have been trying to attack Hunter Biden for a while, but do you think that this latest scandal is a bad look for the Biden administration?
Hey man, not for Biden, but not for the administration. I think about Hunter Biden like everybody got one of those family members, man. If they say otherwise, that's a lie, man. That's a lie. Everybody got one of those family members. Everybody got one of those weird family member that you so iffy about.
I was arguing with Dan. I was arguing with Dan DeFan about this, and I was like, the irony of all this, like Biden, like is the mastermind behind like the crime war bill, whatever, back in the 90s.
Bro, you wonder if the family is racist, 94. Bro.
And it's like your son was a drug addict, and he never went to jail for that.
There is some irony there.
There's some serious irony.
White people go to rehab while black people go to jail.
Seriously, man.
White people get to start drug businesses and get millions of dollars thrown at them. Black people are still sitting in jail. It's nuts.
I got my son locked up for less than a ton.
Like, I know like politician kids are off limits and they should be, but this is like a glaring example of like Biden, man, you should be completely against that bill, dude. All right, man. Shout out to Hunter, man. Make sure you censor yourself.
Hunter about to go do another rehab. Sensitivity training.
Dude, Hunter has just, if you've been following him, he's just like Ryan said, he's just like one of those family members. He just does everything wrong. Like he got a job, like a shady job when his dad was vice president. It's like, dude, no, don't do this. Like, this is gonna come back and bite me in the ass. You're on drugs. You married your brother's wife after your brother passed away. What was going on there?
I did not know that. Wow, this is a nasty dude.
Yeah,
bro. Man, it's horrible, bro.
I just don't know what to say.
That's nuts. Yeah, to marry your dead brother's widow, like, wow.
Yeah,
I didn't know that. I did not know that.
I don't know. This isn't a bash Hunter Biden's podcast. He's not even an elected official, so. Like I agree, this is not going to affect the Biden administration in any shape or form. I think conservatives kind of try to beat the Hunter Biden story when he was running. It didn't
Nah, nigga
stick.
said Biden began dating Allie Biden, widow of his brother Bew, in 2016. The relationship ended in 2019.
Oh, so they broke up.
Bro, this nigga is a
Still though, they
I
dated.
know
They linked
yeah.
up in 2016 and kept it going for 3 years. Man, that's still nasty. Come on.
So I
wait.
thought they got married.
So
My bad.
Bew Biden died when? Let me see. Bo
I, I
Biden.
I think it was shortly. I think he died while Biden was in office. I think it was
20,
2012.
bro, it was 1 year after, bro. Bro, this man died in 2015, and by 2016, dating your sister-in-law.
Nasty.
This is sick. This is a sick guy, bro.
I I don't want to touch this, man. I'm sorry I even brought it up.
By the way, this is what they should be
Alright.
hitting him on. If they were gonna go again, forget his briefcase or his laptop or whatever it is, or his links. This is what you hit him on. This dude's just a nasty dude.
Horrible person.
It's a really nasty guy,
All right,
man.
that's what you go for, not this, Ukraine shit. Come on.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, the people were tired about hearing about Ukraine anyway. So
It's true.
uh, even now, like since Trump's out of the office, every time I hear Russia, I'm like, Jesus, not this story again. It's like Biden meets Putin for the first time. Oh my God. All right, Crimea River. Cool.
The president for life himself.
Yeah, president for life, man. Shout out to Putin.
Shout out to Erdogan, bro. Bro, I don't be getting countries, bro. Yo, a man, one single man can ruin everything for you, bro. There's more you motherfuckers than there's niggas there, bro. Like, come on, son. Bro, Erdogan got up and said, I'm president for life, bro. Putin came up and said, yo, y'all can't vote me out.
So I actually sat down and thought about this, right? Because when Trump was president, I actually sat down and thought about if Trump actually said, I'm president for life. And I'm like, you know what? I got a cushy job. I got a cushy life. If my life doesn't physically change, am I going out in the streets and protesting? And it's like,
that's how a lot of people feel. It's like
right.
life is going fine. Why am I gonna risk it
I'm
all?
not black. I don't have to. You protected my interests.
Right. And it's just like, do I want to go to jail, man, for this? And it's like, yeah, I can go to jail for like much less and that won't change, It's like, I don't know, man.
If that's what he wants, fine. Just let's let it go. I feel like that's what a lot of people feel.
Right. As long as like Canada like has its borders like open, I'm okay, all right. So I don't know how to segue this. But 40 million Americans will have to start repaying student loans in October. That's if there's been no action from Congress or the Biden administration. And then this was kind of wild. Art Laffer is getting dragged for comments on Fox News regarding the $15 minimum wage. And this dude, let's see what he said. He said that for not the old timers, the poor, the minorities, the disenfranchised, those of less education, young people who haven't had any job experience, those people aren't worth $15 an hour.
What?
Just a wild statement to go on national TV and just put out there. Just a wild, especially for someone as big as him. Like he's like, one of like a very big economist.
What's his name?
Art Laffer. Like, have you ever heard of the Laffer curve? Like that's one of his findings, or what he's known for in economics. And he just went on Fox News and said this, and I was like, wait, are you serious, dude? He tried to clean it up later on and try to say, oh, this is why we need to have minimum basic income, but it was like, you can't walk this back. You can't just call all these people and say they're not worth $15, not worth it, not worth the money that they need to survive. It's just a terribly tone deaf thing to say.
It's also incredibly ignorant because let's just compare generations here. Forget like the racist hinge that he had in there.
Yeah.
When like the prior generations kind of benefited off of like a lack of globalization. So when manufacturing was here in the United States, they were getting those cushy manufacturing jobs, and they didn't require like a college education. Hell, they probably barely required a high school degree to get those jobs. And you got like, you can get one of those jobs. Your wife doesn't have to work. You can afford a house in the suburbs. You can afford like a car or two. You can get a
Of
cushy life
20,000 a
off of
year.
that, you know. And even if you did want to go to college back in the day, it was mad cheap to go take a state school too. So
Yeah.
I just don't get like why this generational bias against like our generation and younger versus like the older guys. I just don't get it. They had a
It's
cushy
rooted in
life, man.
racism, bro. Think about it, bro.
It is.
It's the last dying ember of the great white oaks, you know. So they're gonna go. Nothing goes down other than a hurt beer. So you know they fighting
I feel
before America becomes a minority majority country.
that. Okay. Here's speaking of something that makes sense but shouldn't. There's been a leak, an IRS leak. And this IRS leak is basically highlighting that America's super wealthy are paying little to nothing in taxes. I'm sure that we heard that crazy socialist guy, Bernie Sanders, kind of rail about this. No one listened to him. But there isn't a leak that's kind of proved about this. It's revealed that the ultra wealthy, like Jeff Bezos, Warren Buffett, they've used sophisticated tax dodging methods to avoid most, if not all, federal income taxes. And this was through
Them boys
2000.
was writing off everything.
Yeah, there was also something, I think it was called the Panama Papers,
Mm-hmm.
and they essentially proved this too on a like a wider scale. Like
Yep.
any rich family that you heard of, rich person that you heard of on a global scale are using offshore bank accounts to avoid paying taxes.
Yep.
So
Actually a really good movie on Netflix. I think it's called The Laundromat with Meryl Streep. It kind of digs into that.
okay.
Talks about the law. Yeah, it was actually doesn't give you like the whole story, but it does like it just kind of depicts like what was going on with like from the point of view of the lawyers there at Mossack Fonseca. So definitely if you want to know more about the Panama Papers, because it did kind of fall off the radar. Like I remember when the news broke, it was like, oh, there's gonna be this big reckoning for the global rich. Oh, they're hoarding all of this wealth and not paying
And
taxes, and then
nothing
it just kind of went
happened.
away because
Yeah.
like again, like what can you do when like Jeff
The
Bezos
powers
owns the
that
Washington Post?
post.
Yeah, I was gonna
Like these people
I
are just
just
too
saw
rich and
all the
powerful.
Washington. I saw
right.
all the Washington Post articles that's arguing that the rich people shouldn't get taxed.
I saw that too.
Yeah, and I was gonna
Yeah,
ask Pod the question like, why are Americans so hesitant to vote to increase taxes? But you guys
Because
have pretty much
everybody in
nailed
America
it.
thinks because the pursuit of happiness they're gonna wake up rich, so they're gonna put themselves in their shoes. Like, oh, if I become rich, would I want the government taking this from me when it's my
it's
turn?
exactly that.
Because
People
everybody
assume that
get
they're going
their
to be the
5%,
next.
their
Yeah.
5%.
Yeah, it can
Everybody
happen to
get
you.
their 5 minutes of shame. 5 minutes of fame.
Yeah, it
That's
can
what
happen to
Americans.
you. It happened to me. We can get rich one day. So why would I want to give my money away? And also, people will say, "Oh, I don't trust the government to do anything good with the money anyway." So why tax these people?
What? I mean, that's the Republican way of thinking, but
It's very prevalent. I mean, again, we had
it
a
is.
whole, how long did we have, people railing against government spending and saying, "Oh, the government can't do anything. The government's inept." How many bad jokes do we have to hear about the division of motor vehicle? People were like, "Oh, see, that's the government just not being able to work right." It's been
Right.
effective. You hear that for 20, 30, 40 years. It sticks.
Yeah, it's been extremely effective. I remember John Oliver was talking about like public transit, for example. Like everyone hates public transit, right? I know, like, we all use NYC transit. It sucks. It's cool, but it sucks. And like there's a deep, dark reason why they suck. It's because like big oil companies, for example, want people to just drive
Big
more.
car companies.
Big car
That's why I've been
companies want people to
fighting. They've
drive
been
more.
fighting so hard to public transport because most cities should have public transportation, bro. Even if
Yep.
some like one hand to the next. And I think if
Yep.
you're a city in America with over 100,000 people and you can afford it in the budget, have a subway, have a good functional, and it could cut down fucking climate change could have been solved.
Oh my God. Yeah. Yeah. I
Yeah,
mean,
Imagine,
yeah,
bro,
in a
100%.
major
if
way.
it comes to it, most people that live in New York could afford a car, like to get a car. You don't get a car because we don't even get license because it's already like programmed. Like you don't need
Right.
that. Jump on a train takes you everywhere basically. Like
Right. Yeah, exactly. And then cars aren't cheap. Even if you get like an old hoopty, you still got to register it. That's expensive. Maintenance is expensive. Gas ain't cheap. Like, even here in Orlando, we got like a train, which is our version of like public transit. And this thing I've never been on it because it's so inconvenient. It only operates within the work hours on Monday through Friday. So on Friday, it stops running at 8 o'clock p.m. If I want to go downtown, just like meet up some friends, have a couple of drinks, it doesn't have to be Friday night, just Saturday day. Can't take the train down. It's just a complete waste. So
It's just dumb.
Yeah, it's just a complete.
At that point, you shouldn't have one.
That's what I'm saying. Well, the story behind it is the governor, who is now our senator. He's a big believer that when the federal government under Obama released money, I think this was under the Recovery Act. He said that it's a waste of money, so Florida is not going to use it because it's a waste of federal money, and because the money was already earmarked, it went to a different state. So he wasted Florida's taxpayers' dollars even more to build the subway, or not subway, the train station from ground up. So shout out to Rick Scott, man. It's amazing he's not in jail. If you know what I'm talking about, look at his Wikipedia page and you'll be like, how is this dude not in jail?
Ricky Scott, man.
Also voted to try to overturn the election too. So that is our guy.
Yeah, we gotta do better for Florida.
You know what, man? Once I leave, I think we should just cut it off at the peninsula and just like let it sink down, man. Let's let it go. We can like pick up like another state. All right, moving on, more politics here. So the United States Supreme Court unanimously rejected the notion that the First Step Act applies to victims of the war on drugs, specifically the cocaine law discrepancy. So if you don't know what I'm talking about, during the height of the war on drugs, if you use crack rocks, even though it could be the same amount as like fined up powder cocaine, you get more time in jail. We all know who they were targeting when they wrote these laws,
because black people couldn't afford that, you know, and niggas found a good way to cook it up. So
right, exactly, and it's
even less cocaine than cocaine, because you could have 1 pound of crack and 1 pound of cocaine. Pure cocaine is still pure cocaine. There's mad little things done to this other thing, and there's less cocaine in it. So you should, by virtue of common sense, get less time. But you already know.
Yeah. No.
Crack is whack.
100%.
Okay, Nancy Reagan.
Just say no. Do you guys remember the DARE drug program? Did DARE ever come to your school?
I have a DARE shirt.
We had yeah. DARE used to come to our school like every month. It was really annoying.
Yeah, we had the cop come in and just like kind of scare us about drugs or whatever. But yeah, it was kind of annoying. Like we were too young to even know what drugs were.
I heard that's what American sexual education classes be like. They'll show you graphic things and tell you not to do it.
Yeah, that's basically what they do, man. Yeah, they just show you like how a baby's made. And don't really show you how to put on a condom.
Why the hell was my gym teacher, my sex ed teacher, bro? They always just put somebody that they don't, just have like a free period. Go sit in there, bro.
They really did, and I felt bad for a gym teacher because she didn't want to do it, and so I had to separate the class off from like guys and girls, and she's with the guys, and she has to show like the sex ed thing.
The bunch of guys. Bunch of immature kids.
It's so awkward though.
Oh my god. All right. So basically, the First Step Act, that was something that the Trump administration created. Trump was touting this as like his leniency on crime. But what happened is that his Justice Department wanted a narrow interpretation of the law. And due to that narrow interpretation of the law, the Supreme Court saw that and said, and it's going to take an act of Congress basically to kind of correct the flaws of the First Step Act. And the Supreme Court's just not going to do it. There is a little bit of hope. The Dems in the House pushed a bill to expunge weed charges. And I'm not sure what the Biden administration's goal is, but
I personally think the major argument they even argue against that in the Supreme Court is weed is still illegal federally.
Right. Right. Yeah. I
It's still like a
also get
Schedule
it.
1, I think is the terminology, right?
Yeah. It's still illegal federally. So that's why if you own a weed business, you can't open up like a bank account or something to put your money in.
Yep.
It's stupid. It's stupid. I don't get it. I don't get it.
Yeah, but you can run a business for like CBD and like fake weed, which is like, which is everywhere, which is very weird.
Yeah, it is very weird. The state of Missouri actually passed a law that they're not going to enforce any federal gun laws. And, obviously it's scary as shit because one is Missouri.
Ozarks.
Yeah. And then two, it's like you're going to have a bunch of people with probably guns that probably shouldn't have. I'm not sure like how we suddenly forgot what, but we did. But like their argument is like, we're doing this because look at like all the states that pass like medical marijuana laws. Like technically they should be illegal, but the federal government's not stepping in to like correct them or stop them. So that's their argument for doing it. I was like, that's actually a decent argument, So I'm kind of curious how that plays out. All right, let's talk about school. We were talking about school earlier. So there's a story from the LA Times on parents preferring online learning, saying there's less bullying and racism that their kids are experiencing. So let me ask you guys this. We kind of talked about it a little bit, but have you guys ever experienced any racism at school?
In college, only in college. That's the only time I was around white people.
I forgot you grew up like in Jamaica, Brooklyn.
And I came here, and then I came here and I went to an all black. I went to Frederick Douglass Academy, bro.
Yeah. That makes sense. All right, Marcus, did you have any stories?
I'm trying to think. I remember there was an incident in high school where some kid said the N-word in my class, and like a bunch of teachers, and we had like our principals were called the dean of men, and they actually like interviewed the black students in the class to figure out what happened. And I don't remember I barely remember like what had happened. I just know that someone was accused of saying the N-word. I was asleep in the class, to be honest. But
yeah,
it just kind of came. But it became like a really big deal. And that kid, I do think because the kid wound up getting in trouble for saying it. I do wonder if that kid wound up turning into like a MAGA kid, or he went real hard right in college. So I do wonder if like that. If we kind of created that just by making him say or accusing him of something that he may or may not have done. But that was like the racist incident at our school. For the most part, we were kind of like, I was kind of insulated from that stuff. I didn't really pay attention to, or there wasn't really anything like that, even though I went to like a mostly white school in high school. But that was really it. Like college was pretty low key. There was nothing major that happened. And
college,
it hasn't really been an issue for me.
So where we went to school is basically the capital of the Confederacy, tucked away in New York, bro. That's where I went to school. It would
upstate New York.
Did you go to Cornell?
Nah, I passed Cornell. I was basically 20 minutes away from the Canadian border. Like I'm like Norfolk. No, I went to Plattsburgh.
Okay.
That's up there.
There would be Confederate flags flying about. You go to Walmart, they would call you a nigger on the street. I remember, bro, one of my classmates was having an argument, and one of my classmates, outside of class, he didn't know that he was my classmate, told me if I have some problems with America, just go back home. And then he just said, just go back home. And you repeat, go home. I'm like, yo, bro, I punched this nigga in my face, and now I'm really going home. So I just walked away, bro. And I had to sit in the class with him for the rest of the semester.
I'm just laughing because in New York, the further north you go, the more southern you get. It's same thing in Pennsylvania too. So my little like high school racist story, didn't really happen to me, but so the went to high school in Harrisburg. So the school district I went to, Central Dauphin School District. If they had two high schools, and like you could already tell off rip, the way they drew the lines for the high schools was strictly based off of a race. Because my high school is like, let's say 40% black, and the other high school is like 90-some% white. They had the newer high school. We did not. They had the newer, more modern facilities. We did not. And then there was a story in the paper about how these parents in one town in the school district was going to reroute their kids to go from the whiter school to our school. Now, on paper, our test results are about the same. And those parents are like, we don't want our kids going to that ghetto school. It's so bad. Like they're gonna. So they made a big and huge fuss about their kids going to my high school. And that was my little racist experience in high school. So shout out to the American school system, man. All right. Speaking of which, teachers are pushing back against state laws restricting teaching about America's racial history. And here's a little fun fact that I picked up. Current history books were influenced by pro-Confederacy groups.
Daughters of the American Confederacy, yeah.
Yep. So then the question to the podcast would be, will America ever come to terms with its racist past?
No.
Now, while the great bastions of racism still stands, public university.
Wait, why you say that?
Because I feel like that's where all of these people go to cultivate. You gotta understand, like you look at everybody that leads in the Republican Party. They're either Harvard grad, Yale grads, or everything like that. Like that's that's how these people are ingrained, like to behave. Like none of those great universities and shit. Look at their acceptance rate. Look who they're accepting. Once you have like things like legacy admission.
Yeah,
bro. Come on, bro. Point. That's like Harry Potter, Muggle blood. Not letting the Muggle bloods in and shit. Come on now, like that's the great bastions, man. You can buy a building and buy an admission package to freaking Harvard.
Yeah, that is also true.
That's a fair point.
Or you can just have your kids, join a fake, school sports team and just have them go to school that way.
Shouts to USC.
And test your Photoshop skills.
Test their Photoshop skills.
And play a discount to the coach.
You know what kind of bothered me the most about that is that the parents essentially went to jail for it, or at least got in trouble for it, or just publicly humiliated, whatever you want to call it. And the kids just didn't care about school. Like they just did not care about the school or the degree whatsoever because they knew they were good off rep. And it's like, what was the point of even doing all this?
No reason, just to chat, just to say my daughter did this, my in your social circles.
Yeah, that's basically it.
It was for USC too. It wasn't even like UCLA is a better school. Like I could see doing all that for that, but USC. I don't know if anyone's checking for USC like that.
I can see it like UC Berkeley or something like that.
Exactly. USC though, like Compton. Come on.
I don't get it. I don't get it.
No disrespect to Compton.
Much love to the city of Compton. So we were kind of touching upon it. You guys do realize that affirmative action, at least for schools, is potentially in trouble?
Yeah, I know.
Supreme Court has agreed to listen to it. We don't have like a hearing date yet, but they have agreed to listen to it. And the case they're listening to is basically, I think it's like the Asian students something versus Harvard University.
The medical.
And, yep. And their argument is basically that Harvard's current metric system is discriminated against Asian students. And they're doing this to pretty much like try to overturn affirmative action, at least in the school process. Now, the funny thing is like these group of like Asian parents with students, they're being run by a white guy. I don't know that circuit red flag or anything, but the guy's white as hell. So, and then the court
identifies as 0.5, identify as 0.5% white. Asian and then ran with it.
It could be that, man. It could be that. So the court, it does lean to the right, and I'm a little bit nervous that we've already seen the court kind of gut our Voting Rights Act. I'm really nervous that we might see the court maybe not gut entirely, but start taking away bits and pieces of affirmative action as well. So,
yeah, I think those feelings are justified. I think this court was put together, just for that reason. Just to kind of dismantle this restorative justice idea or ideal that liberals have been fighting for so long. We saw with the Voting Rights Act, and it's going to extend to affirmative action. It's going to extend to reproductive rights. Like, and we're going to see I think we're going to see things get even more go the other way, even with dealing with corporations. So this is this is what happens when you don't care about courts in 2016. This is what happens.
Yeah, this is what happens. And I think Mitch McConnell was not caught, but made a statement saying that he would not vote for a Supreme Court nominee, I think, in 2024. So McConnell's still back to his old ways. He will definitely maintain a vacancy if he still has the power to do so. So,
of course,
that's what happens when that's what happens when we have two senators on our side that give Republicans power still. So that's what happens, man.
That's what happened when Joe Manchin is the leader of the party.
Yep. It's depressing. Speaking of depressing news, the infrastructure bill. So essentially, the Biden administration really wants to have bipartisan support on this infrastructure bill. Biden kind of campaigned on bipartisanship. Biden campaigned on the fact he's been in the Senate for, I think, 36 years, a really long time. And he's done a lot of bipartisan deals, and he wants to bring that magic back to Congress. However, Team Biden has ended negotiations with Republican lawmakers. They were being led by the other West Virginia senator, Shelly Capito, and he was going to try to make a deal with a group of bipartisan senators being led by Joe Manchin and Kristen Sinema. So we will see about that.
Bernie Sanders also came out and said not supporting the bill.
So, yes, there's a dilemma now because Chuck Schumer and Bernie Sanders. So the story is that Chuck Schumer wants two infrastructure bills. One that we can just say, hey, it's bipartisanship. Look, we did it, guys. Congress is back. And then the second half is like, all right, so this is exactly what we wanted, by the way, and we're just going to push this through reconciliation. I think that's a good idea. You know what I mean? I understand how politics works. I understand people don't really pay as close attention to politics as we do. The only problem is that Chuck Schumer cannot get Joe Manchin and Kristen Sinema to agree to the second bit of that deal. So they're still holding out on a bipartisanship deal. They're not trying to push for a second part deal. And then we got Nancy Pelosi in the House who say, well, if we don't have confirmation that those two senators aren't going to agree to like a second bill through reconciliation, the House might not vote to pass it. So we have, so Joe Biden's infrastructure bill is in a lot of danger right now for just completely falling apart. And it all kind of rests upon like two senators, which is Kristen Sinema and Joe Manchin. So.
Yeah, I remember thinking that I actually did think there was something to Biden being able to, this was before January 6th, but I did think there was something to Biden's ability to kind of reach across the aisle and maybe get something done because he was playing the center, I thought, pretty well.
Yep.
But I think that's kind of gone out, that's really gone out of the window. And I think
if
he can't
even get,
which is kind of nuts to think about.
Yeah, you tell that's a leftist and they might throw up in their mouths at that notion, but
the man whose Senate inspirations were nothing but racist.
It's
yeah,
it's crazy that this is where we're at now. That he can't even get these two. He can't even get these two other Democratic senators to fall in line. And Schumer too. But this is their job. This is what they have to figure this out. I don't know why Manchin and Sinema are so, because they seem to be so hell bent on this idea of bipartisanship just for the sake of it. So it's like, okay, there's this bipartisan bill that's kind of a pay on to you. You guys have to give up something now as well. So give in on this other bill so you can say, oh, hey, here's this bipartisan bill. I think getting in the way of it or obstructing this it's just moronic, but so is a lot of what they do.
Yeah, I think it honestly comes down to taxes. I don't think it comes down to the people in Arizona or West Virginia. I don't think they can give two shits about them. I think it just comes down to corporate taxes because the infrastructure bill, how parts of it wants to be funded is through increasing the corporate tax rate. And Republicans through the Trump administration, one of their biggest accomplishments, which is pretty sad, was lowering the corporate tax rate. And we already saw in the first portion of this podcast that rich people aren't paying taxes anyways. So I think that just Kristen Sinema and Joe Manchin are just trying to protect their interests. It has nothing to do with the people in their states or bipartisanship. I think bipartisanship is just a way for them to say politically, we're not voting for this as it is right now. So
it does provide good cover for that. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. I get it. Like, Joe Manchin comes from like a 40+ Trump district. I get it, but we can't use it as a crutch. His next election is not till 2024. Come on now.
And he won in 2018 handily, even with the Trump's advantage. So what are we really talking about here?
Yeah, and exactly. And trust me, there's going to be plenty of stuff in 2024, 2023 that Joe Manchin can play the Republican on to win the votes. People really don't look back like 3 or 4 years and say,
just want to be who he wants, bro.
So I don't know. We're going to see if you ask what our predictions are for the infrastructure bill. I think that we are probably going to see a pretty watered down infrastructure bill that's going to get bipartisan support in the Senate and also the House. I don't think we're going to get progressive support in the Senate or either in the House on the bill. And I think it's probably going to hurt Biden's reputation because Biden did run on a pretty progressive campaign promises. And if Republicans have their way, or at least this bipartisan group has their way, it could really chip away at like Biden's promises for like a more progressive or forward-thinking America. So, wow, we're going to see.
Counter to that, though, is would it be better to kind of dig in on these progressive things, even if they can't get, even if it's not going to pass the Senate or if it's not going to get done at the risk of running the risk of not getting anything done at all?
Man, they need to pass as much bill as physically possible. Fuck everything.
That's what I'm saying. That's what
fuck
I
the
think.
bipartisanship. Mitch McConnell wasn't doing that a couple of years ago. I just can't believe Democrats really forgetting where we were a couple of years ago.
Yeah, I was just about to say that, Ryan. Because this isn't Biden's first rodeo, especially in the White House. He was vice president for 8 years, and we kind of saw like the worst probably gridlock in Congress under the Obama administration. And I'm not putting that all on Joe Biden. Obviously, that's not fair, but it is extraordinarily naive to think that us kind of chipping away for Republicans and what they want, that they're going to turn around and give us some votes either way. You know what I mean? Because we can go with these bipartisan talks, chip away as much as possible, waste a lot of time. Now we're going into election season, and the Republicans aren't even going to vote for the bill anyways. So that's a possibility as well.
Yeah, sounds familiar. I think we did this already with the healthcare bill back in 2009, 2010, 2011. So
Yep. We could have had a public option, but we chipped away at it, and now we're stuck with what we got right now. So, man, shout out to bipartisanship.
Never works.
Never.
Or what it does is most likely not in our best interest.
Oh,
that too.
All right. So here's a little bit of good political news. And Oregon lawmakers expelled a Republican representative for aiding in the siege of the state capitol in January. So shout out to them. Here's another good news. A bipartisan House bill could break up tech giants like Amazon into 2 companies.
Awesome.
I support this. So hopefully this actually works because the tech giant did piss off both sides.
It won't.
You said it could. We broke up big companies before in our past.
Amazon can buy the US at this point. That's their own country.
Amazon is rich enough to be its own country, same with Apple. Same with a lot of these companies.
To be not just a country, but to be a top country in the world.
Yeah, Amazon's like scary rich.
Amazon, shoot, Apple has more money than Amazon, I think.
Yeah.
They're just sitting overseas. Like all these companies are just kind of sitting on hordes of cash right now.
Yeah, no, they are. That's the thing.
They're saving it to buy. They're saving to buy a seat on the Ark.
That's like something that
they did the bidding for the space flight for rich people now.
That's another thing. I'm not a conspiracy theorist, but it's like seeing these rich guys in this space race does make you kind of think a little bit.
Yeah, yo, like, might be clipping.
Yeah. We got COVID, we got global warming. Like it could be curtains for a generation in like 10, 20 years. So, it's kind of like, I don't know, when Elon Musk is like more focused on like going to Mars than he is on like just saving the current planet that he's on. It's like
Jeff Bezos just retired could go fly on his spaceship, bro.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
He retired from being the richest man in the world and running the most successful company we've ever seen outside of like Apple.
Yeah.
He had the best job in the world and he left.
Left it after just divorcing his wife too. So
come on, bro. I know he's flying on his birthday. He's not gonna be on the earth. What something crazy happened that day, bro?
I'm not wishing for it. I was thinking about that the other day because I was like flying back from Philly. And like I hate turbulence, right? Because I don't know, I just don't like turbulence. But like
why is there a pothole in the sky?
Right. You're on a literal rocket on top of like massive explosive fuel going into space. Like there's just no exit strategy. Like, I just can't imagine that. But
they paying like a couple $1 million to spend
5
minutes.
30 million, dude. The bidding ticket for the extra seat went for $30 million.
Mm-hmm.
And that same company might win a $10 billion bid from the US government for like its space interests. So I don't know what to say.
It's ridiculous.
I was talking to Dan Fan about that, and I was like, when you actually sit down and think about it, as an American, we have some of the richest and largest corporations like known to man. Kind of what Ryan was talking about. Like these companies are, if they were countries, they would still be first world nations. I think
looking back in history, there's probably only one company that probably rival Amazon and Apple, and that's the British East India Company, because they basically owned India and ran it as like a business. And I think that's as big as, and John D. Rockefeller.
Yeah, that's probably as big as
the Standard Oil.
Yeah,
that's probably as big as we get, because Amazon wealth is unfathomable, bro. Like it's like, all right, bro.
Yeah.
So at a certain point, this is getting ridiculous.
But like, it's just so hard for me to reconcile like the infrastructure bill, for example. Like we're talking about, how are we going to pay for this? We have the largest, richest companies in this nation. And it's like, I don't get it. That alone should cover us, right? It's like I remember when Elizabeth Warren was running for president, and like the moderators was attack her on like how would you pay for this question for her healthcare ideas. It's like, we are so rich corporate wise, that alone should kind of cover it, right? So it's just kind of hard to just like reconcile that. I don't know. That's just my little rant. I apologize. But
no, you got it.
All right. So we got the last topic here today. So Biden went overseas. He had his first successful overseas tour. So Biden went to England. He met up with some of the G7 guys, which is also kind of a nasty thing when you think about it. I'll tell you guys in a second. NATO.
Erdogan.
Was that?
Was Erdogan? Was Turkey still part of NATO? That's the question that I've been pondering all week.
I don't know. I don't know why it's so hard to kick a nation out of NATO. I don't get it.
My son.
I don't get it.
Basically,
I just don't get it.
He's a dictator.
I don't get it. Well, I thought the whole purpose of NATO was to like counter the Soviets, who later became the Russians, and Turkey has just been pretty buddy with Russia when it's convenient with them. So I
Turkey
don't get
is
it.
basically the new Soviet Union in that arena, bro. They be wilding too.
Yeah, they
That's
do.
true.
Like
I
I don't know
don't get it.
how Turkey ever convinced people to put them in NATO.
I don't. I think
They're not
Turkey
even on
kind
the
of did a
North
shift.
Atlantic. They're not even in the North Atlantic.
No, I think it's their geographic location though. Like when you're
Yeah,
fighting against the Soviet Union, and you just want to have. It's similar to kind of like our relationship with Israel. It's like you want to basically have
right.
like a foothold in these areas just in case the scourge of socialism, quote unquote, kind of like extends to that region. You want to be able to meet it head on any way that you can.
Right. Which is also kind of a nasty thing to think about.
Our Cold War history is nasty.
It is so stupid. Like I was thinking about the
That's why
G7.
Jamaica had white prime ministers, man.
I still can't get over that, man. That's still shocking to me. That's really shocking. I can't get over that. I think Guyana had like a white president too. I think they had like a white president, which is also kind of shocking to me because Guyana is black and Indian, and there's this white guy. So yeah, the G7, like I was thinking about the other day, it's like the colonizers are still getting together and kind of like dictating like what they're gonna do to the world. I was like, oh, that doesn't. It's not really a good look, you know.
Oh,
Not at all.
Yeah, I was just thinking about it. Like literally every country that has colonized another country is basically makes up the G7 because we kicked out Russia. So yeah, it's not a good look at all. But anyways, another rant there. So the G7 and NATO basically agreed to be tougher on China and also Russia. So this was kind of seen as a big win for Team Biden because they've been shifting greater emphasis on kind of combating China a little bit. Like I said before, I think we're in a Cold War with China. We just don't want to say it. However, the downside is that the U.S. and Japan has decided to further protect coal interests. I think there was a conversation about moving away from coal, and the U.S. and Japan kind of blocked those conversations from happening. So,
Of course.
yeah, so got a little good.
Protect the purse,
Maybe that'll get
man.
Joe Manchin. Maybe that's to get Joe Manchin to kind of play ball on some of these things. Got to protect West Virginia's coal interests.
Nobody.
They pay him, so that could be it. Take one for the team, so that we can like get Joe Manchin on our side. It's kind of nasty, like Cole, but I get it.
The Manchin. That's why we should name this pod the Manchin.
We gotta stop giving credit to Manchin, man. But I do like the name the Manchin. we might have to name the episode the Manchin. But all right, guys, I got nothing less on the agenda. Unless you guys have anything you want to talk about.
No, sir. I'm high as a kite right now.
We covered everything.
I forgot. We did not endorse. I don't think it's New York. New York's legal now, right?
Yes, sir.
All right, so we're good. All right, FBI, we are good. All right, so
the FBI act if you smoke weed in the last 2 years when you try to apply, then if you say yes, you get disqualified from the screening process.
Yeah, how did they tell you're lying? Did they do like a lie detector test?
They do that. Yeah, they do that.
I feel like they would for the FBI.
Okay. All right. Well, I'm not joining FBI then. So.
All right, man.
Yeah, it's just local law enforcement for me, I guess, if I want to do that. But nope. All right, so that's all I got for this episode, guys. Thank you so much for staying with us on this journey. We are still a young, growing podcast. So please help us out. How you can do that, make sure you like and subscribe to our podcast. You can do it anywhere you find us, where you listen to our podcast. Also do it on YouTube as well. Follow us on Twitter, retweet our stuff, follow us on IG, heart our stuff, put it in your story. Help us grow, advertise us. And if you hated this podcast, if you think we're really bad at this, we get it. You know what? But still share it with some other people.
I don't.
What was that?
I don't get it. You get it, not me. I don't understand.
I don't know. But if you don't like the podcast, man, still share it, hate it with someone else so we can get the listens and the views. And that would still help us grow. So that's all we got for episode 32. Once again, thank you guys for listening, and we're out.
Later.